This is the Seven Figure Agency Podcast. Discover the strategies and techniques to grow a highly successful and profitable digital marketing agency with your host, Josh Nelson.
All right. Well, hello. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on today's special session of the Agency Success Podcast. We are spotlighting Jim and Brian from Roofer Marketers. I'm so tempted to say roofing marketers, but Roofer Marketers. These guys have crushed it over the last couple of years. They were our 2019 fastest growing agency of the year. We kind of stacked up all our members and looked at the ones that had the most, new client growth, most recurring revenue growth over a 12-month span. And these guys have just crushed it. So Jim and Brian, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Josh.
So let's just start from a high level. Kind of tell us a little bit about your background. You guys, tell us a little bit about your agency and where you're at now in terms of monthly recurring, so people get a sense of what you guys are up to.
Yeah, so I guess Brian and I met a few years back. I was doing some pay per lead. He had an agency, and we had joined a mastermind together, and so we spent a lot of money to meet each other. That was, if that's an easy way to put it. And we were kind of noticed. First of all, we noticed that we were both in the Minneapolis area, and then secondly, we noticed that we were a couple of the only people that were actually implementing the things that were going on there. So we decided to combine forces on a couple of projects that led to working together on an agency essentially, but we had a kind of a pay per lead model early on that didn't last long. And then that kind of evolved and developed into Roofer Marketers. So,
So you guys run Roofer Marketers. Your business partnership kind of formed through a mastermind. Kind of, where are you guys at? How many clients? How much recurring revenue? Kind of give us the lay of the land in that front.
We are at monthly recurring. So we had a couple of people pause during the COVID crisis. So we lost about 8% there. But right now we are at we're at about 50. I think about 56 monthly recurring. 20. I think it's like 28 clients, 29 clients.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's great. And how long have you guys been at the specific niche focused agency at this point?
It's kind of so I think it was, what was it? I think we got our first client in October of 2018.
Yep.
But we were kind of just like fiddling around at that point, trying to figure out what to do. Weren't so sure if we were going the full roofing niche or not. I think it was really when I came down to the 7-figure agency intensive, I think it was February. Mm-hmm. That's really when we kind of went 100% in. So it's been 15 months probably, I would say, about, right, Jim?
Yeah, about that. And then we were kind of working on it for a couple of months before that. We were funnel hacking Josh and
yeah,
writing our book to emulate what he did and things like that. So
that's awesome. Okay, I mean, congratulations. In a little bit more than a year, over 50,000 in monthly recurring and growing on a pretty consistent basis. You guys have done an excellent job. So you mentioned where we started. Just how did we start working together? Just so that everyone knows, like, what was the genesis of us working together here at 7-Figure Agency?
Well, we'd like I said, we were kind of funnel hacking, right? So we were looking at who was doing a niche model really well, and we came across Plumber SEO, and from there, we started kind of looking at the things that you were doing and looking at other people that were doing niche focused agencies, and then through one of the things that we had purchased or downloaded from you, we got Brian got on your list, right? And then he was like, man, I think I'm going to fly down to Florida for this event, right? And he could kind of tell you the story of what it went like down at the event.
Yeah, I don't think you could come that time. You had something going on, so.
Yeah, it was real short notice.
I'll go check it out.
Yeah.
Well, long story short, the first mastermind we were in didn't. There was a lot of stuff that went on with it that was not great, so we kind of lost trust in the whole mastermind process. So, flying down to Florida was like, we'll see what it's about, but I wasn't expecting much. But honestly, I mean, just seeing, Josh, you running a really great agency yourself and just giving it all on a platter to everyone was kind of a big eye opener for me. So came running back and I was like, we got to go all in on this pretty much.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. So yeah, kind of having an experience of like not best scenario to kind of getting what you needed. What were the main issues, problems, ideas you were looking to solve for when we started working together? Like when you guys, after that first, intensive and you were like, okay, this sounds great. What were the main challenges or hurdles you were looking to solve for?
I think what we saw first was the ability to execute what we wanted to do faster. And that's really what was solved for in joining the 7-figure agency. We saw the format of it, the content that was provided, plug and play everything, right? So that was the thing that was like, because we had written our book actually, for example, we wrote our book before joining the 7-figure agency. Mm-hmm. We published our book before joining the 7-figure agency. And then we got access and I logged in the first time and there's the book, right? Like, so it really, made us, kind of focused in on, man, we just need to implement and execute the next thing. And between, the coaching sessions with you and Jeff and the content that's in the members area, that's what we've been able to do is just execute the next thing.
Nice.
And I had a legacy agency before, and to be honest, I mean, that's, when you got clients in every different type of niche and it get kind of burned out, it was, the niching down was definitely the way to go. We both knew that.
Yeah.
100%. So one question a lot of people always have when we're talking about agencies and agency growth is, how did you choose the niche? How did you guys land on roofing companies?
So the paper lead that I was doing was in roofing that we were kind of partnering on. Mm. And Brian could tell you he had a legacy client in roofing.
Yeah, I had a legacy client that we're doing really well with. Knew them really well, and that's kind of just decided to take them and run with it.
Got it. So you had already kind of gone down that path. You had a little bit of success under your belt. It's like, okay, this seems like a good place to focus.
And had a case study too, so that was a good starting point for sure.
Nice. And how did you guys transition from pay per lead, where you're just basically getting whatever it is, $50, $75 per lead, to a retainer-based model where you're getting a consistent monthly fee? How did you guys make that pivot?
Well, we learned that pay-per-lead has its own, kind of hassles there, right? A lot of times you're not dealing with the right client, that you talk about a lot of times in the 7-figure agency, about getting to the right clients, ones that are actually doing business, going to grow long-term. A lot of the people that buy leads are really small, hit or miss. They're not very, there's a lot of arguing over if it was a quality lead or not, and things like that. So, I mean, it wasn't a hard transition. And with Brian having his agency with clients on a retainer model, he's very familiar with that model also.
Got it. So how did you get the first couple of clients, on an actual retainer? Like, what was the approach that worked for you guys to go from 0 to, let's just call it 5 active retainer-based clients in your niche?
So the first clients were done in through cold email list, and what is now known as the Hillsberg method, but it was essentially a video audit strategy where we were reaching out to companies in specific areas, asking them if they wanted to, kind of for a video audit, if they wanted to be one of our exclusive, kind of companies in that area. And that's how we got our first 4. And then from there it was 7, executing through the 7-figure agency. But by then, I think by the time we had our first 4, Brian had the site ranking pretty well. And so we started getting some inbound leads through SEO also.
Nice. It is fun to switch from having to chase everything down to having some clients come to you, right? I mean, it's kind of a beautiful transition.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. So I guess just looking back, right, from startup to over 50,000 in monthly recurring revenue, what would you say would be like the top three things that you've implemented from the seven-figure agency that helped to move you forward and kind of helped you get that kind of momentum?
A big one was webinars. I think once we started doing that, we really started getting, well, Jim would know better than I did with the sales stuff, but just as a clarification, Jim does the sales in our agency. I handle everything on the fulfillment
side.
Yeah, it's been, that's just for clarification. But yeah, webinars. What else, Jim?
So really we did, we kind of started off from the process side when we came in, right? So hot lead follow-up system, starting to build out some systems on the fulfillment side. From a prospecting aspect, webinars was definitely the first one that started going for us. We had the cheat sheet running for a while. We had, our book funnel prior to even joining the seven-figure agency. And then it was joining the industry association, creating the Dream 100, and really focusing on marketing to that industry association, to members of that industry association. And then from there, it was really building authority through our social media marketing. The podcast was another one that kind of the next thing that we did that really started giving us some great authority. And the case study, of course, we had the case study running. So we essentially, what we did is we just took the next thing. Hey, what's the next thing to do? Let's execute, implement and execute on it, implement and execute on it. None of them are perfect. I found an email from you, Josh, to people who abandoned our book funnel cart. So you were sending people an abandoned cart email in our book funnel. I don't know how you did that, but we forgot to find and replace Josh maybe. But that's what we did, and that's really what built the momentum that we had so quickly, was just the okay, we have the webinar started. Okay, what do we do next? Industry association, what do we do next? Right. And that's kind of how we've continued to do things. So
I'm going to share my screen real quick so you guys can kind of talk through some of this, because I think you have done an exceptional job implementing, right? All of it, right? From the Hillsburg method stuff early on to really choosing the niche, putting the branding in place, positioning yourselves as the go-to experts, being personality centric where you guys are on camera, it's front and center that you're the ones in charge. Can you talk about how you made the transition from direct prospecting, which a lot of us do, and some of us, like even seven-figure agency members that are in the on-ramp, and it's like, okay, I got to reach out, I got to send these videos, I got to try and get clients through that mechanism, to doing webinars and advertising and promoting webinars and kind of positioning yourselves as the experts. Can you talk a little bit about how you made that transition?
Yeah, so for me, it wasn't really a transition. I learned probably in the mid 2000s, I did a lot of public speaking and trainings and things like that. And I learned very quickly that the person in front of the room is the expert. And that carries over into, into social media, into, the way that you put yourself out there through like you can see just through the videos that we did on the website and things like that. So, and then I have a background in helping, helping clients with video and things like that too. So, and have never shied away from the camera. Well, actually, I failed public speaking 3 times in college. I passed it on the 4th one. So it did take me a while.
Is that true?
It did take me a while, right? So
it was a hard-learned skill.
It is. It was, it's one of those things that's difficult, and you're always critiquing yourself. And, my wife tells me, I'll edit some of our videos where I'm talking, and she's like, how do you do that? How do you edit yourself? Right. And so, but that's what it is. It's being the person in front of the room is the expert. Right. And so, that's where, we wanted to make sure that we were on camera speaking to our clients, just like, and one of the things that we do is we try to execute everything that we are, advising our clients to do. So we're telling our clients they should rank their website through SEO. we're doing that, right? We're running paid advertising. We're doing social media marketing. All of the things that we're telling our clients to do, we want to be executing ourselves and leading from the front. So that's kind of how that came together. Brian can speak to more about how he put the branding and the website and things together, because he did an amazing job on that. I can't take any credit there. The guy has a very special skill set.
Yeah,
Branding, not so much.
Talk us through it, Brian. I mean, it looks wonderful.
I mean, I'm not into like design or branding. It's more SEO is my background. So
I'm not into design or branding. I don't do a good job of that at all.
I felt like the bright red color stood out, so we used that. But yeah, I mean, one thing I think we didn't mention is that, over time, I mean, I didn't put this site together overnight. It took, a lot of time, months and months, but, and I don't know if Jim mentioned this, but, all those things we've been doing, webinars, case studies, Facebook ads, like at a certain point, it's like a slow ramp up, and then you kind of hit this momentum shift in terms of people seeing you as the expert. And that, I think we kind of hit that not too long ago, but it definitely took some time, from the beginning standpoint.
That's a great point, because there was a period of time where it felt like you guys were doing the webinars and you were doing the podcast episodes and you were creating the content, but just it was all happening underneath the surface and it wasn't materializing into sales, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it just takes time, right? No, these aren't short-term marketing strategies, right? SEO is not a short-term marketing strategy. Building authority is not a short-term thing. You don't just show up and become an authority overnight, right? So you have to put the work in behind that. But that work will always pay off down the road. And through that authority building, that's really what happened with us. And we really, I think, as I mentioned, we really started getting kind of feeling the beginning of that after we started marketing directly to the industry association people. I think that's where we started, and it was because we were pointing our efforts at the right audience, and that was a big thing. So, essentially, we were forcing ourselves to be on the stage in front of the right audience, if you want to think about it that way. So, that was one of the things that helped do it. And then it's the consistency of effort, just nonstop, continuously doing it. And I see people. I saw people in the seven-figure agency a few times. One of the, I guess more recently, I think it was like comments about, well, I sent 40 emails through the Hillsburg method and no one responded. Or I did my first webinar and I only got 2 people to show up. Right. It's like, yeah, you did. You got 2 people to show up. That's how we thought about it. Right. We got 2 people to show up. And I mean, we still, on our webinars, we were only getting about 10 people live on the webinar, about 40 registrations, about 10 live since kind of probably late August. Before that, we might've got, 2, I think we actually did a webinar with no attendees. Remember that one?
That was a good one.
That was a good one, right? We did a webinar with no attendees, and we don't care, right? Because now we get to have that content. It goes on our YouTube channel. It's, we can use it, through everything else. And then, when the COVID hit, and we did the COVID-19 webinar, that's when our list really responded. And that was the first time I had like 53 people live on the webinar for that. And I was blown away. That was amazing to me. So our goal, one of our goals when we joined the industry association was to try to get everyone in that association to know who we are. Mm-hmm. It wasn't to sell to X amount of roofing contractors. I mean, we have our sales goals, of course, but we, it's all about that, I just wanted them to know who we are. And that was kind of what we, kind of how we did that. So,
sorry.
Yeah, you can see here some of the content on the YouTube channel, all the podcast episodes, the webinars, things like that.
Yeah, so I think, if you were to take this in sequence, chose the niche, started doing some cold outreach, joined the association, which gave you a good list, not a garbage list, but a good list of prospects. And then you were just really aggressive in your outreach to that list with value-added content. Get them the book, invite them to the webinars, start planting those seeds, and it started to result in a culmination of opportunity coming at you, not from one channel, but from lots of different channels.
For sure.
Exactly.
That's it. Do you remember that sales trainer, but he's an older gentleman, Jim Rohn, he passed away now.
Mm-hmm.
Remember him?
Yeah.
There's one kind of quote from him that always sticks in my mind, and that's to have a consistent business, you need 5 to 7 lead sources, right? So if you're only focusing on, hey, well, I'm doing these webinars and nothing's working, well, you only have one lead source there. So you're missing out, right? So you have to get to 5 to 7 lead sources, right? Ranking your website, doing, running Facebook ads to a case study, doing a podcast, marketing to your industry association, doing your webinars. So each of these things, and once you have that concept, to me has stuck with me. And I always think of that when executing a business, executing a new business.
Multiple sources of inbound opportunities.
That's right.
I think you guys have executed as well as anybody in the group in becoming omnipresent in the industry, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't start with trying to target all roofing companies. It was, let's find the roofing companies in this association and let's create great content for them. Let's get it in front of their eyeballs. And what's funny is when you do that, it permeates the rest of the industry. Like, I'm sure you're getting people outside of the association, but because you were creating it for that specific audience, that's how the positioning really started to materialize.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly how it came together.
Very cool. So if you were to look at, all of the different marketing that you do, is there 1 or 2 strategies that seem to be generating the lion's share of the opportunity for you at this point? Or is it still kind of diffused across the base?
Diffused across the base. I would say that the largest volume of leads comes through search. So our website being ranked.
That's powerful. Yeah.
Of inbound inquiries. Secondly, probably right now through the case study, and then everyone kind of once they're in. That's when we're presenting them with the webinars and the podcast episodes and all of those types of things. But I've had opportunities come directly from the podcast. I've had opportunities come directly from Instagram. Opportunities come directly from LinkedIn. So through our social media marketing, is another place that we've definitely found some good traction.
And once you opt into anything or come to our site, you're never going to get rid of us.
You'll never get rid of us.
You're pixeled. You're on the list.
That's right.
Nurtured.
Sorry, everyone.
Go ahead, visit our website. I dare you.
I'm sure they will. Yeah, and they'll see your retargeting ads and all of the other amazing stuff you guys are putting out. So I think that an important insight, I want to hear from you guys in chat here, what's standing out to you in terms of what you're hearing. I think an important insight is if you're looking for a single bullet that's going to just drive your business forward, it doesn't exist. Like, if all they did was run a case study funnel, hey, look at one roofer, they got this result, and that was all they did to a random landing page, they would absolutely not be where they are today, right? It was that they took a multi-channel approach to their marketing and really dominating this local space. Would you agree? Would you agree with that assessment, Jim and Brian?
Yeah, for sure.
100%. Okay, so let's pivot a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the service offering. Like, what exactly is it that you do for the clients that you serve? What is your program? What does your packaging look like?
So that's actually a perfect time to pivot to the service offering, because that's exactly how we tell our clients that they need to be doing, right? You can't just do SEO. You can't just try to rank your Google My Business listing. You can't just do pay-per-click advertising. You can't just do social media marketing. So it's a combined package there. So our package includes essentially the way that I describe it on a daily basis is what we do is what the way that Google displays search results for the roofing industry, roofing search terms with commercial intent, right? So that's the core of what we do. That's our Get Found package, as we've talked about before, and that is, a fully optimized website, not only optimized for SEO but for conversions. And then ongoing SEO for the website, helping optimization of their Google My Business listing, and all the SEO that goes into ranking that. Their reputation management system to help them build their reviews and their trust in that Google My Business listing. The management of all of their pay-per-click advertising, retargeting and remarketing ads, and then social media marketing beyond that.
Nice. And kind of high level, how do you charge for this type of thing? You a la carte, monthly fee?
Monthly fee, $24.50 for everything, $19.50 if we're not doing the social media advertising for them, social media marketing.
Got it. Very, very, very cool. Had you guys ever been a la carte based, or have you always been retainer based? I usually were doing pay per lead at one point, so that's kind of a la carte based.
That's a la carte, but no, we haven't. It was all or nothing.
Always recurring, yeah.
Always all or nothing recurring. Yeah.
That's a game changer, right? Do you feel like if you were doing, random websites for roofing companies or random, piecemeal type stuff, that would have stalled out your growth a little bit?
100%.
Definitely.
Yeah. So having a comprehensive solution where you can come and say, look, this is what you're going to need to do to generate the maximum results, and this is how much it is. Either take it or don't take it. Has been a big part of what's driven your agency forward.
And behind that is if building them a website, what would that do for their business? Well, it'll do something very small, right? But if they're not getting traffic to that website, then what's the website for, right? What good is that website that you build them? So everything goes, everything, we are the experts in what we do. And this is what we would do if we owned a roofing company, right? We wouldn't just do one thing or another. So that's the service offering that we put together is, what should you really be doing? Not just, well, hey, we'll do what you want us to do. No, we're the authority. We're the experts in this. This is what you need to be doing as a company to generate the best efforts through your digital marketing.
That's awesome. And you guys are obviously getting great results for the clients. So let's talk a little bit about how you get the work done. So you guys have grown to 20 plus clients across the country. What does the operation look like? Is it just the two of you? Have you started to add team members at this point?
We've built a team. It's definitely been a learning process. But most of our team that does the fulfillment is in the Philippines. They do great work. I've trained a lot of them. We have a US-based account manager, project manager. They handle that sort of stuff. But our team's about, I think, 10 people now, 11 people.
Nice.
So
that definitely helps to get it all done. Scott's asking, as it relates to the package and the website, do you include the website in the monthly fee, or do they pay a separate fee for the website and then the monthly fee?
The website is included. We have an initial 12-month agreement. And so really it's not a 12-month agreement. It's 12, the kind of we went through some things for our agreement, getting a new agreement put together. So it's really it's our fee for the year, right? And then we break that down into 12 installments. And so the website is included in that.
Yeah. And I find that to work best. Like if you're going to charge a separate fee for the website and then a separate monthly, it just creates inconsistency of the cash flow. So I always recommend having one monthly fee that includes the website and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Good question, Scott. And if you guys have other questions, post them in comments. That way we can answer your questions and keep this as interactive as possible. Looking back over, the growth of the company and kind of what you guys have accomplished, what would be like 3 key lessons or 3 key takeaways that you could share with the group?
Well, I could say, I mean, you got to start somewhere. It was what was the quote? Something about imperfection. You just gotta go for it. I mean, if you start just thinking about everything and you're not going to get anything accomplished. So, make a list, do one thing at a time. As I said, everything that's on the site and all of our different inbound sources we built slowly over time. We started with the web and we started with the site. Then we did the webinars. We did the book. I mean, that was all progression. So don't overthink it. Just do it. That's what I would say.
Great. Jim?
That's for sure. Yeah. And that was, in the beginning, we were hesitant in hiring. I think that we, if looking back, I think we could have hired faster, and that would have helped accelerate the growth. It's the unknown of what your recurring will be in the next, in the next 6 months or something, right? So, having to hire, before you have, a good amount of recurring in there, I think we could have done that a little bit sooner, and then just executing as fast as possible. I would have probably executed things even. I would have done things even faster.
So no breaks at all. Just
no breaks, no hesitation. Like, let's go, right? Like,
both of us, Jim and I, both like to overthink things.
For sure.
So
that's helped us a lot. It is because what's really funny, Josh, and I've told you this in person, is that every time I think of an idea, like at the next intensive or at the next thing, there's like a fully built out module on exactly how to execute it. I'm like, that's awesome. I was thinking about doing a podcast. Okay, here's everything you need, right? Like it definitely just doing the next thing, just pulling the next module out of the members area and put it in place. So
that's awesome. Let's see. Jeremy's asking, when you look at the spend versus the management fee, are you including that in your $2,400 monthly fee, or do you take that on top?
All ad spend is on top of the $2,450. Yeah.
So keep that separate, guys. Run Google AdWords, to directly to their card. That way they see how much went to Google AdWords, and you keep your management fee. Very hard to manage profitability if so like you're taking their spend and billing that directly, and then spending it on your own account to manage the AdWords. So good question.
We did that in the beginning. We had 4 clients in the beginning that we signed on a package that included ad spend. And so it was $3,000 a month, $1,500 of that was our agency fee, and $1,500 a month went towards their ad spend through Google Ads. And there was, you can't scale that. It's too difficult to scale that, and to have that much ad spend coming out of your pocket on a monthly basis. They don't pay their next month's agency fee, and all of a sudden their card gets declined, and all of a sudden you're down $500, $1,000 in ad spend on top of that. So
great point. Yeah, there's a risk to it. There's the concern for them not knowing, transparency wise, how much maybe you spent on ads versus just pocketed for your own profitability. So I always recommend keeping the budget separate from the management fees. Jeremy's asking if you guys just do SEO and pay-per-click advertising on Google Ads. Do you get involved in Facebook advertising at all?
Facebook ads also.
Yeah.
Facebook and Instagram ads.
That's the additional package, though.
That's the $2,450, includes running ads on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah.
So it's a very comprehensive, like, this is what you need to do in order to maximize your lead flow, in order to, just capitalize on the internet. It's website, SEO, pay-per-click, social media, paid advertising, tracking, for a monthly fee that's going to be, easily monetized.
Yeah. Yep.
I love it. Steven's asking, can you give me an idea how many strategy sessions you guys are taking on a monthly basis to get that kind of growth?
It depended on the month. We've had a lot of fluctuation in that. It hasn't been like, hey, we do 10 strategy sessions a month, right? but between 6 and 10 is probably what we averaged in the kind of once we kind of got a little bit of momentum. We were at about 6 to 10. The goal now is 20, but we're pushing it to get to 20. That would be cranking pretty well. So that's the goal every month. But so yeah, I would say to get to that, you gotta be focused on at least 10, trying to hit 10. That was my goal every month, was to hit 10.
Got it. So shoot for 10, and then close ratio somewhere in the 30 to 40%.
30s, mid-30s. Yeah.
So if you can get to 20 strategy sessions, you'd have like 5 to 6 new clients,
right.
And you're going to get 3 to 4 new clients.
No.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And Steven, it shows that you're thinking, right? You can do all of the best activity, right? You can have a great website, you can have case studies, you can be doing podcasts, but if you're not getting 10 to 15 or more strategy sessions month in and month out, the new client volume is not going to be there and the growth isn't going to be there. So like really being clear on what you're shooting for and how many strategy sessions you need, or sales appointments, whatever you want to call it, is smart thinking. Do you guys track that activity? Is that something you guys pay close attention to make sure you're hitting that 10, or how do you track that stuff?
With the KPI board on the wall right here.
Nice. Love it. So KPIs, right? How many strategy sessions, how many new clients, how much recurring revenue growth. Love that you guys are really tracking and measuring the activity you want to get more of. All right, so Matt Coffey had his hand raised. I'm not sure what he wrote in here though was, what are the top 3 things you guys are doing right now to get strategy sessions during the pandemic? Like what's worked well during the pandemic to get strategy sessions?
The strategy sessions definitely slowed down when the pandemic hit, but I went really aggressively with the webinar and the podcast episodes, and really focused on what roofing contractors would need help with at this time. So I did a series of podcast episodes on those very specific things, and that has led to some other opportunities from doing that. But through the pandemic, really what we've seen is in the last couple of weeks, I've seen the call volume increase of our inbound, and it's mainly that it just seems like people are starting to get back into buying mode, or into all right, this is going to end, so what are we going to do?
Nice. So that's smart. You kind of went into, let's create great content that's going to position us as this in the immediate term, and as this thing starts to come back to normal, you've got all of the content that you can drip out over time.
Yeah, and really just to position it helped build our authority even more, right? That was the whole goal, is just to build our authority even more, become more omnipresent to them, and that'll. I don't think about how many, I wasn't focused on how many strategy sessions can I get during the COVID crisis. It was just, hey, let's just do good things, and good things will come, right?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Todd, what's up? Glad to have you with us. Todd's asking, do you find you have to have multiple meetings with the prospect to get the sale, or do you guys usually get a one-call sale? How does that work in your world?
So we do a two-part. It's a two-part sales system. It's the discovery call and then the strategy session. I find that I may probably, out of our 26 clients, I may have had one sign on the strategy session. I don't ask for the credit card. Maybe I should. But I have a proposal system that I use that sends them the agreement and the system overview and process overview, and kind of some information around that that's integrated, that they can just e-sign and move on. But I don't find that I find that it is something that people want to think about or compare you to another company. The client that we just signed last week, we did our strategy session. Great. Everything went well. We're going to think about it. Sounds good. We're going to make a decision in the next week. During that time, when they came back and called me to say, hey, we're going to go with you guys, they said that they had they had 6 other sales presentations in that time period.
Wow.
So they were actively looking to buy, right? But they wanted to make sure that they were making the right decision. And I'm happy to let someone shop me, go and do a strategy session or a sales presentation with another company in our space. You'll see the difference. So.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I think we're similar in that front, right? We don't, we'll ask for the business, but we don't usually get it right on a one sale close, right? There's an evaluation process that goes into place. There's a follow-up system in place. I would say probably 80% of our deals come, in the follow-up week, 2 weeks after that initial sales presentation is made.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's how it's working for you guys as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, when it does happen and they do give you the credit card or the phone, that's great. But if that was your only play and that's how you thought it would always need to go, you'd wind up probably frustrating some of your prospects because you'd be, hey, listen, if you sign today, I'm going to knock, X amount off the deal. And that it just doesn't feel congruent. It doesn't feel professional. So good question though, Todd.
There's a few in the Q&A if you saw that too. I don't know.
Didn't see it. Glad you brought it up. Let's see. Q&A, where is it? All right, let's see if we haven't already answered some of these. Joel says, not sure exactly how your service is offered. If this is a problem you have, deal with project creep. That sounds like something.
Scope creep, right?
Yep.
We had a conversation with Josh about this the other day, and it's part of it. We don't, I don't know that we've dealt with it exceptionally well or exceptionally poorly, right? Where we just kind of we take it case by case. So, but we try to set the expectations up front. This is not a custom website that you're getting. It is a framework that we put forth that works best for what you're trying to accomplish, and that's leads, generating qualified leads to your roofing business. So.
And when you're getting $2,500 a month, you can afford to, hey, look, we'll do a little bit of extra than maybe we thought, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Kind of what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
So Jeremy's got a good question. Is when you're running your ads for the agency, how are you able to target roofing companies specifically and not just anybody?
For our agency, yeah, Brian can answer that.
Custom audiences. Yep. So I know Josh Wheeler has talked a lot about that, but joining the associations, getting a list, and I mean that's the best way to do it. I think upload that list to Facebook and run those ads.
And create great content that gets people to get onto your page to get pixeled, so that now you're creating that audience and you're very laser targeted. Jim, I'd love it if you could unpack your omnipresence on steroids. I know like a year and a half ago, I was talking a lot about join the association, put out content, show up everywhere they look. And you kind of took that concept of omnipresence and you said it's the omnipresent strategy on steroids. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So that really hit me. The omnipresence, just the word, right, and the concept behind it really resonated with me. And so what we did, the omnipresence approach, what Josh is talking about is, you're joining the industry association, you are marketing to that association, whether it's through direct mail, it's through, all of these different, aspects, the webinars, the, custom content or creating content, valuable content. And so what I did is I thought, how do we do this, and, how do we increase this exponentially, and really, I mean, it came from 3 sources. The kind of the way that I put this together came from 3 sources. One is Gary Vaynerchuk. He's the king of repurposing content and creating a lot of content from what he does, and just creating a ton of content. That guy's, I can't believe how much content that guy puts out.
60 pieces a day.
The other one was Frank Kern. Frank Kern had a little course on kind of that kind of had this essence. And another, someone else, Peng Jun, had another course that kind of had this essence. And so what essentially the strategy of it is to take take a large piece of content and break it up into multiple pieces of content and distribute that content in as many places as possible. And so if you go to, I don't know if you could go to instagram.com/roofermarketers, that's the best, kind of the best, or yeah, you click on the Instagram logo there. And you'll be able to see here kind of what we do on a daily basis. These are what we've termed videograms. So we take, I like does the searcher's intent matter? So I created a series of educational videos that we repurpose and put out on an ongoing basis. But then you can see we're also pulling little clips from all of the podcast episodes that we do. That's our biggest, the largest number of pieces of content that we have that gets circulated through this. And the goal is impression share. So go up to the top there, Josh, in the search bar and type in hashtag Roofers World, I think. Roofers World. Roofers World, Roofer World, something like that. No, not that one. So try it with singular. Roofer World. Do Roofers of Instagram there. Roofers of Instagram. 59,000 posts, right? So this is another thing. I just took it from Danny, right? Now, so scroll down this feed of posts, and I guarantee that we will be there.
Yeah, there you are.
Over and over, and just continue to scroll down, and we will be there over and over again. So I try to take over hashtags, or not take over hashtags, but insert ourselves into the conversation through hashtags on Instagram. We also do the same posting on our Facebook, on LinkedIn, my personal LinkedIn, on the business LinkedIn, so everywhere you go, we will always have a post in our feed. I was telling, I mentioned this on Joe Troyer's podcast that I just did with him, is that we actually have had one of our employees unsubscribed. She's like, I can't take it anymore. Every time I open Facebook up, you're in my feed. And that's the concept behind the omnipresence on steroids, is to always be in front of them. Every time they open their Facebook, every time they open their Instagram, every time they open their LinkedIn, I'm there. And so it's just an impression share, right? On a basic level, it's just how much impression share can we achieve with the content.
And kind of that, the shortcut or the hack is, it's not like you're creating hundreds and hundreds of pieces of content. Yeah. You create 1, 2, 3, maybe like long form pieces of content, a webinar, an interview, a podcast, that gets then split up into micro components that are named differently, titled differently. And that's how you've got this constant flow of new content getting dripped out.
Exactly.
And Jim, you're able to kind of flip the script on that when you're selling to those people, because they're so used to seeing you. You're like, well, that's what we're going to do for you.
Exactly.
Yep. And the fact is, everybody wants to deal with the expert in their type of business, and they want to deal with the best of the best. And like it or not, the person that's most present, the person that is putting out the content, the person at the front of the stage, the person that's running the webinar is perceived as the expert. And so that's why these guys are coming to you, and they're willing to pay premium to have you implement these ideas for them.
Yeah, we raised our prices during COVID. Nice. April 1st, our prices went up to $19.50 and $24.50 from $17.50 and $22.50. So, the more authority that we build, the better that we execute for our clients. We didn't go backwards during COVID, is the easy way to put it. So
that's awesome. Give a thumbs up, or that was awesome to Jim, if that was useful to kind of hear how he's thinking through this omnipresent strategy and how he's developing this authority positioning. So we have a couple questions in here, and then we'll start to wrap up. Bear's asking, do they get charged an additional setup fee of the first month, or is it just a flat monthly from the inception?
We're just doing a flat monthly from inception.
Okay. And he's asking, what happens if they sign in the middle of the month? Do you guys just do anniversary-based billing, or is it based on the first?
Yep. 30-day billing.
Yeah. Same here, Barry. So like if a client signs up on the 17th of the month, they just get billed every 17th until they cancel. So there's no need to prorate. There's no need to try and figure out how do we get it to set on the first of every month? So good question. Stephen's asking if you remove clients from your marketing list once they become a client, so they're not continuing to see.
Yeah, we do. So we move them over into a partner, we call it a roofer marketers partners. That's how they're tagged in our system, or in our list, in the roofer marketers partner list. So they may get a different type of content, right? But they won't get invited to they won't get as much, for sure.
Yeah, good question. And I think easy to remove them from an email list, a little bit less easy to remove them from a retargeting list or from a social promotion list. But that's not a problem, right? That you want your clients to see you and see all the great stuff you're putting out, because then they're just like, oh, I must be with the right company, right? These guys are continuing to innovate, continuing to roll out great information and content. Great stuff. I think some amazing insights here on how you guys chose the niche, position yourself as the experts, land clients, get the work done, continue to grow, continue to scale. I guess for those maybe that are listening that aren't members of Seven Figure Agency, what would you say as someone that's thinking, should I get involved with this? Should I not? What would you guys' feedback be to that person or persons?
If you are looking to build a niche agency, do it.
There's nothing better.
Yep. I've done both Brian and I, and I'm sure everyone here on the call or watching, in the future has spent money on a lot of courses and things like that. And this was by far well and beyond anything I've ever had in any kind of course. So
that's awesome. I appreciate that. So going from where you were to 50,000 and beyond in monthly recurring and growing, I have no doubt you guys will be seven figures by the end of the year. I think that's the target, right? How has that impacted your business life and your personal life? Like, what's the impact of that for you guys?
Well, I mean, we're still pretty busy.
We're a little busy.
We're busy.
Things are a little busy around here. It's been nice to take a paycheck. That's been nice, huh? That was the biggest thing. That was good.
Yep. It's been growing. It just gives you some room to work with. And I think that in the beginning, I know a lot of people can relate. You're tight with funds. You're like Jim said, we're unsure if we want to hire someone because you're just kind of juggling. Can we afford this? Whatnot. But it's nice to have that kind of little comfortable room right now.
That's the biggest thing in business for sure. We've definitely passed the point of where we know what's going to happen, right? There's just no doubt anymore where we'll be able to take the agency.
So it's just kind of that confidence that you're on the right track. The momentum is there. It's not like it's going away, and knowing that there's a bright future without question out in front of you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. So as we wrap up, any additional nuggets of wisdom you would offer to that agency owner that's, just trying to get to the next level, trying to, get things to that next place? What nuggets of wisdoms would you share for them?
What would you share on the fulfillment side, Brian?
I would say, this isn't for everyone, but have an understanding of what you're hiring out to people before you do it, because there's a lot of people out there that do great work, but there's a lot of people that don't do great work. And I think you'd rather know kind of ahead of time what you're getting yourself into before just subbing everything out and hoping for the best for your clients, because it's not a trial really period when you have clients and they're waiting for results.
No doubt.
That's my 2 cents.
I love it.
From a sales perspective, I would say that you have to make sure you have the right mindset. One of the books that I've read, and I know a lot of people have probably read in this group, is Grant Cardone's 10x rule. And I've heard Danny talk about it a lot of times. And the core concept that I got from that book was everything is going to take 10 times more effort than you think it's going to take. It may take 10 times longer than you think it's going to take. So if you think you need 10 strategy sessions to get to your first 3-5 clients, try and do 100, right? 10x that. And in that 10xing of your effort is where you're going to really, really just build momentum quickly.
I'd also say maybe find someone, and this obviously doesn't apply to everyone. I give props to like Danny, who kind of headed the agency himself to start, but Jim, I mean, he's a great sales guy, and he complements my skill set because he doesn't do the fulfillment stuff. I like to oversee the operations side and everything. So us two working together works out really well. If we both were good at sales and weren't good at the other stuff, it really wouldn't make sense. But in this case, it does.
Partner with or hire weaknesses, right?
For sure. Yeah. I'm sorry, Jim. I talked over you there.
Oh no, partner or hire your weaknesses quickly, because that's what you procrastinate on.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Excuse me. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing. Congratulations on your growth and success. I mean, tremendous momentum. And again, I have no doubt you guys are headed to multiple 7 figures and beyond over the next 12 to 24 months. So thank you for sharing. Thanks for all the amazing insights. For those of you watching this after the fact, be sure to tag Brian and Jim. Thank them for sharing. Thank them for their insights.
Yeah, thanks, Josh.
That was awesome. Well, I hope you get great value from that session. If you'd like to get more ideas, strategies, and techniques on how to most effectively grow and scale your digital marketing agency, I'd like to invite you to go to sevenfigureagency.com. Got a number of resources that you're going to get tremendous value from. You're going to go to sevenfigureagency.com. If you scroll down, you can grab a free copy of my book, The 7-Figure Agency Roadmap. That really spells out big picture, how to position yourself as the expert, how to grow your agency, and how to scale to 7 figures and beyond. The other resource I want you to check out on our website is the podcast, right? If you're listening to this and you'd like more, I've got dozens of interviews with highly successful digital marketing agencies on how they've grown and have scaled their agency. So if you go to sevenfigureagency.com, you hit the podcast button. There you can subscribe on the channel. That's of most benefit to you. And the last thing I'm going to suggest is make sure that you go to sevenfigureagency.com/group or search on Facebook for the Local Agency Success Group on Facebook. I'm in there. The guests that we've had on the show are in there, and thousands of other successful digital marketing agencies. It's a great place to plug in, share best practices, and network with other highly successful digital marketing agencies. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Again, I hope you got great value, and I look forward to seeing you in the Facebook group. I'll talk to you soon.